What's up, everybody? I am DJ Kazzeo, and welcome to Talkin All That Kazz. Now, what is Talkin All That Kazz? Real quick, breaking it down, before I even get to that, let me tell you this. You want to know anything, you want to connect with me on social media, go to this address right here, www.djkazzeo.com, all right? All my stuff's up there. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff is up there, okay? Now, for 27 years, over 27 years, I've been hosting a weekly radio show here at 90.9 FM KHTC in Salinas, California. Every one of the shows I've ever done that's in my library is now online. You can go to this address right here, mixcloud.com/DJ_Kazzeo to hear all the shows, all the music, all the interviews, everything. Okay? Now, speaking of interviews, maybe you don't have the time to go to Mixcloud and listen to the full shows, because there's thousands of hours of stuff to listen to. If that's the case, this is what Talkin All That Kazz is for. I've isolated all the interviews, taken the interview clips, put them in video form, and I'm posting them up here on YouTube for you guys to check out in a shorter time, all right? So you can just go, pick out whatever interview you want to check out, and here it is, okay? So, without further ado, let's see what I got in store for you this time around. And we're back in the place right now. This is 90.9 FM KHTC Radio Bilingüe here in Santa Cruz and Monterey counties, 104.1 FM out in San Benito County, and streaming live everywhere on the planet at WednesdayRec.com. You just heard a song called Can't You See It from Chrissy I-Eece, and you may not be able to see it, but you definitely are able to hear it. My special guest right now on the line with me, Chrissy I-Eece. Chrissy, how are you?
Hey, how are you, DJ Kazzeo? Thank you for having me on your show. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
It's absolutely, the honor is all mine. This is the first time I've had you on the show, and I've wanted to have you on for a long time, but you know, the planets finally lined up, and you know, the sun, moon, and stars, and all that good stuff. So, how is everything out? You're in Florida right now, right?
Yeah, I'm here in like the Sarasota area in Florida, and it's pretty much it's okay. I mean, we have the great weather. Today it's been a little damp and raining, but every day it's like in the 90s, high 80s. And but beaches are closed, so I mean, you could go on and walk in the beach and stuff like that. But you know, taking precaution, everyone, you know, because of the times and you know everything going on. But I have to say, you know, I'm okay. Me and my family, we're good.
Right. You know, it's crazy because last I heard, I don't know, it may have changed by now, but wasn't the governor of Florida resisting the shelter-in-place order?
I think so. Like, so to be honest with you, I don't like to. I'm not one to stay stuck on the news. Like my husband will watch the news and then he'll kind of like, you know, let me know if there's anything that we need to really worry about. But one of the things I did know was that he, anybody that was coming in to Florida, because there weren't that many cases in Florida, but then now, you know, you're starting to see more and more cases, and I think it was really because when they really didn't know much about anything, and we just had spring break, we had all the spring breakers come down here, but then that's when everything got closed.
Right.
And so you have a lot of people coming in, you don't know who's already had or got infected or been, you know, encountered somebody that had it or whatever, but I think from there, most of the elderly really are the ones that have had the most cases here in Florida, but pretty much, I think Miami has more of the cases. Orlando is starting to have a little bit more too, because these are more populated areas. Where I am is kind of very, I don't know, country more, you know, so it's not a lot of people. So right now we only have like maybe 200 cases and stuff. So, but it's sad. It's just sad. It's the way everything is going.
Yeah, it's pretty non-discriminatory out here in California. It don't matter what age you are. I mean, you're susceptible to it all. You know, it's you mentioned how where you're at is more country. I guess you would call like rural. What was that like for you moving out of New York and moving down south?
I love it. I love it here because New York is so fast paced, and it's so much. You go out and it's just a lot going on. You have traffic, you have a lot of people, you have noise, just all of that.
Mm-hmm.
When we moved here, it was like, do you hear the silence? Everything is quiet. Like, I go out of my house. We live in a community where, it was just an up-and-coming community. Like, we were, like, in the first phase of houses being built.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll go outside to walk the dog, like, at any time, and there's nobody in the street. Like, cars don't park on the street. You have to have your cars in your driveway or in your garage, so there's no street parking. Only, like, for holidays, they'll allow families to park in the street, like, for the weekend or whatever, but it's just really quiet. Now when I go to New York to go visit family, I can't sleep because I hear horns honking, people walking by the front of the house and talking really loud, like having conversations on their phone. Like, here you don't hear that. So it was hard to adapt to at first, but I love it. I love the weather. I love the palm trees. For me, it's really good because of the humidity, since I'm a cancer survivor and I had cancer in my lungs, non-Hodgkin lymphoma. I had tumors in my lungs. So I think coming here, the moisture, it just helps me breathe better, and I just feel healthier here.
Yeah. That makes you have to be even more precautious because this whole thing that's going around is a lung infection. So you really got to.
My husband says, thank God that we're not in New York right now because he's a retired police officer from the New York City Police Department. So they would have recalled him back to work. Because they needed more people to work now,
Right.
And so just coming home and not knowing what you're bringing back home, all of those things were just concerns. So we were like, wow, thank God that we're not there now, but still I have family and friends there that I worry about.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy because I watch the daily news conferences that the governor of New York does, and 400 people a day are dying.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
400 people a day. There's artists that have never even performed in front of 400 people.
Right.
It's just a crazy number. But we got to be more positive. We got to move on to some positive stuff. So moving down there to actually even not even talking about the move. Let me ask you this: I was before we came on the air, and I was playing "Can't You See It." And I was listening to some of the riffs and the cadences and whatnot. Were you ever at all compared to India?
Oh yeah, definitely. We always had first of all, we looked like they would compare us, like, think that we were sisters because we both have that Taino look, the dark hair, the dark complexion. Growing up, that's what they used to call me as a little girl. Like, if I was walking around, they would go, "Mira, India." They would call me that. So when I was looking for a stage name, I was going to use that name as well because she had just came out of the group TKA, and she was not known as India. She was under her real name, Linda. And so, but then she was already lying. She was India, and so they were like, "No, that name is taken." So I was like, "Okay." So Will from And More named me Chrissy I-Eece. But when we used to sing, our range was very similar. And so, some people used to say, "Oh, you sound like India." And I was like, well, that's a compliment because she's an amazing singer.
Right.
She sings beautifully. And so I didn't take that, how some people will feel like, say, I'm jealous or whatever. That was never me. I would say, like, "Oh, great. I guess I sound great."
Yeah, because there were a couple spots in that song that I just played where you're hitting a power riff, and I'm like, man, that's like almost the same as India. She does power stuff like that. It's really good stuff. So the whole naming Chrissy I-Eece, did you ever figure out where he came up with that?
Yes, because every time we were in the studio and I would sing, I have this habit of always like, "Ay," doing that. I guess it's the Latina in me.
Okay.
And we always like, "Ay, this, ay, that," whatever. And so when I was, we were recording, and they would keep saying, "Let's do that line again," or "Try it again," or whatever. I was going flat or I would go sharp, and they would do it again, and I would get so frustrated because I was like, but it sounds okay to me. And then I would go, aye. And Will from Ann Moore said, you know what we should call you? Chrissy I-Eece. I-Eece. So I was like, everybody said, hey, that sounds pretty cool, which was fine. But then every time when I would go to perform, nobody would pronounce it right. The way they would read it, they would say Chrissy I-Eece or Chrissy I-Eece.
Right,
So
right.
it was very rare that somebody would get the name right, and then I was like, this name, I should just drop it and just call myself Chrissy.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
I said, no. I said, but I just said, you know what, just leave it. It's okay.
Yeah, because when I first saw the when I got the first record, and I was like looking at it, I was like, okay, I've never seen a name like that, so that's got to be a stage name. But how do you pronounce that? And
exactly.
and like you said, people were mispronouncing it when they introduced you. I was like, I'm just gonna call her Chrissy I, because I don't know how you combine the two. I mean, I could say I-Eece, but maybe I'm saying it wrong, and I didn't want to.
No, and that's right, and you said it right. That's why we put the dash after the I. So
right.
you can go I and then East. But people don't see it that way. They'll say I-Eece, and they'll spell it that I-Eece as well. They'll spell it I-E.
Right.
E-E.
Or like combine it all and call you Chrissy I-Eece.
Yes.
like Denise, but without
Yes.
they flip it around. Anyway, I before E except after C, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Take it back to grammar school.
That's a good way to put it. I'm gonna use that.
Yeah, exactly. See, but we got so much more to talk about. The main reason you're calling in tonight, you got a new record out. I debuted it last week. We're gonna play it a little bit later on.
Sure.
I want you to stick on the line here real quick because I gotta play the station ID. We'll come back. We'll talk some more. We'll get into whatever feels right to talk about, because there's a variety of topics that we could get into, including your work with the Santana twins. I want to talk about basically unleashing Mark Anthony on the world.
Sure.
And there can be whatever else falls in between the cracks there. So
Okay.
We're going to take a quick break. I'm going to play a station ID. I want you to hold on the line, and we'll be back in just a second, all right?
I'll be right here.
All right.
Okay.
This is KHDC, Chular Salinas, 90.9 FM, and K281BR Hollister, Radio Bilingüe, National Latino Public Radio Network.
Esta es KHDC, Chular Salinas, 90.9 FM y K281BR Hollister, 104.1 FM, Radio Bilingüe, la red nacional de radio pública latina.
Okay. So we're back now, talking to Chrissy I-Eece, the well-known freestyle singer, but that's not all she's known for. She's done various other things that we're definitely going to get into in just a second. Chrissy, you're still there, right?
Yep, I'm right here.
Just making sure. I didn't want to, you never know, they might cut the phone service off here at the station. I'll be, in a bad place. That would not be good.
Oh, we don't want that.
No, we do not want that. So, before the break right there, we were talking about in, I believe it was 92, you released, You Should Know By Now, which basically was like, to me, the first time I ever saw the name Mark Anthony on a record. Talk to me about the connection and unleashing him on the world.
Sure. Well, after I did Love Desire, I was signed. I had a personal manager who then signed me to a management company, which was David Maldonado Management. That's Mark was already there. He was one of the artists there. He was doing a lot more writing. During that time, he wrote for various other freestyle artists, including Sapphire. He wrote her song called Boy I've Been Told.
No, I didn't know that. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So when I came into the management company, Sapphire had just released that track. and that's like one of my favorite freestyle tracks. Boy, I've been told. And so, being that Mark was, not only he did background vocals on it as well, and wrote the song. We collaborated. Since we were all in-house, he was like, well, why don't you write something for Chrissy? So during that time, he was getting ready as well to release his own single with Little Louis Vega. Actually, his first single that he released was He's a Rebel, which was on the same label as Love Desire. I don't know how that did either. So, but then, we were always together. I have my own recording studio in the Bronx. So, life was like in the recording studio, just creating music and just growing on our craft, dancing and whatnot. And so he wrote, Boy, I've Been So, I'm sorry, You Should Know By Now. I collaborated with Little Louis Vega, who did the production, and Albert from the Latin Rascals also did a mix on it, and then Todd Terry did the house mix. But Mark wrote it, and then Mark did a cameo in it. He sings a part in the song. He had amazing talent. I always told him, dude, you are going to be so big, because when I first saw him was when I was in the group called Amaretto, who did Clave Rock. I was like one of the background vocalists on that group, and I saw Mark before I was even signed to this management company. I saw Mark in a in like backstage in the Fun House, and he said he used to tell everybody, "Oh, I'm going to be a singer. I'm going to be I'm going to be a big singer." And people would look at him and they saw him with his little glasses, and stuff. But then, P.S. moving forward, when we all were together, and then he started, writing, and he wrote that song for me, and we both got signed to Atlantic Records as a deal. Him and Little Louis Vega were getting signed on Atlantic with their album, and then they brought me in as the song that they produced and wrote, and so I got signed to Atlantic. But radio in New York just did not play my music, and so. When I would go perform, Mark always came along with me, so that he did background vocals whenever I did that song, and he jumped on stage, so he was getting the exposure as well of doing that. But then, of course, he had his own song that he was promoting too, which was Right on the Rhythm. But it wasn't until we all merged into RMM, which was to do the Latin music, after I got released from Atlantic, then we went towards more Latin music. So they said, why don't you guys be the new generation in salsa, which was India, because she was married to Little Louis Vega at the time,
right?
Mark and myself, and that's how we went and crossed over to Latin music, and we all three of us released a salsa tropical, Latin tropical music album. He did with Sergio George. I went with Luis Pericoti, who was with the Fania All Star, and India was with Eddie Palmieri. And then that's all she wrote. He did that one song by Juan Gabriel that put him on the map, and he took off. I can't reach him right now.
Yeah, I don't think anybody on this call right now is going to be reaching him anytime soon.
Nope.
It's I don't want to skip over this, because you mentioned that you were part of Amaretto back in the day, and there's all kinds of online discrepancies and theories on who did what and whatnot.
I didn't do anything.
The song Clave Rocks. Who actually is the lead singer on that record?
Okay, so there's a lot of stuff going on there. So originally, I know that the man that was behind the whole thing, Ray Serrano, I guess the main singer was Jeanette, a girl named Jeanette.
Okay.
And Jessica was also a part of that when they first created the song. She did parts of that song along with Jeanette. That's who the song was established there. But then what happened was that he ended up putting a 3-girl group with the song. which then Jeanette was no part of that song. It was just Jessica and two other girls. And so they had, when I came into the group that I auditioned, one of the girls had already dropped out of the group, and they needed a dark-skinned girl that can sing, that can dance. And so that's when I went and I auditioned and I got the part. And we did a lot of performances, but it wasn't until one performance that we did in La Mirage. I'll never forget that day, and that's why I stepped out. I said, that's it. That's the end of Amaretto for me, was because the original singer that did the main vocals, the verses,
Jeanette.
Jeanette, she showed up in one of the clubs, and she was like, she took the mic away from, I think it was Jessica or Maria, one of them two, and started saying that she was the original singer, and you know the club is packed, and everybody goes and everybody remembers that, whoever was there. And I was like so embarrassed. I was like, oh my god! But in reality, nobody was lip syncing her vocals. The girl that did the lead track was singing live. Her name was Maria. She sang beautifully, and she sang. And then we did, of course, our I puppy, whatever.
Right.
And that was it. But then after all that, I was like, I don't want to be known for that girl that was in that group, that the microphone, like a Milli Vanilli is known for that. I didn't want that. So I stepped down. I said, I'm going to go solo. And that's when I went on my own.
So if I can summarize it, it basically, it kind of, in a roundabout or in a nutshell, you would kind of be able to say the blame for all the controversy would be on that guy Ray, because he marketed it in a way that wasn't truthful, right?
Well, it's see, this is the thing with having those groups, right? When you have a group, if the person who establishes the name of the group it happens with TKA and Cover Girls and all of that, right? Mm-hmm. They're these you own the name, so when you own the name, you can put any face on that. You know what I mean? So it really depends on who's right and who's wrong, but when you give credit to who credit is due. So if the girl Jeanette is the lead singer and she sang it, then give her the credit that she sang the song. Jessica was also a part of this the production, because she did parts of that song. I think she did the I papi tócalo. Mm-hmm. That was her voice there. So she's legit, Amaretto. But
just not the lead singer.
No, she wasn't the lead singer. The lead singer was Jeanette, and everybody knows that because when you look at the credits on a record, it'll tell you who's the lead singer of a song. That's by right. You have to put that person's name on there. And then now she resurfaced, and she was on Facebook and singing the song, and she sounds exactly the same person that's on the record. I never met her personally, so even when I was in the group back then, I never got to meet the lead singer. I never got to meet her. I've seen her now on Facebook, but I've never met her personally. Yeah. Well, so we did a lot. We performed a lot, and we went to Puerto Rico, to Dominican Republic, California. We were all over promoting the song, because the song was a good song and it was really catchy, and a lot of people loved the music. So we were out there performing it live. We weren't doing it on a track, and it was fun to be in a 3-girl group. I loved it, but then I was like, oh no, I got to get out of here. I can't. There's too much drama.
Right. No, understandably so. It just seems like possibly in when Ray brought in the next lead singer, he could have maybe made it little bit more apparent, saying, not necessarily saying it, but having the photo out there that, okay, that other girl, she's not in the group anymore. These are the 3 girls, and
right.
Maybe.
But you want to know something? In the cover of the record, she was never on it. The cover of the record was Jessica was on the cover, Maria, and then there was this other girl. She was African American, and that's the one that I replaced, the dark skin with the black long hair, and that's the person that I ended up replacing. She was on the front cover of the record. So Jeanette was never even on the front cover of the record either. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't think she ever got to really go out and perform the song after it was done in the studio.
I just think that in such a small community as Freestyle is, I think, stuff gets around so fast that you really got to get out in front of it before it gets out of control.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, give credit to who it's due. The girl did a fantastic job singing the song. It's her voice on it, so she should have been out there, with the group,
Right. Well, hey, you know what? We're gonna jump into Love Desire right now. This is actually I got the 2008 remake that you did, or 2002, excuse me. I believe this was on. This came out on a Fever compilation, right?
There's a whole lot of that song is out on a lot of compilations.
Okay. I won't make you stress out and try to figure it out. But yeah, so this is the 2002 version of Chrissy I-Eece's Love Desire. We're gonna play this, and then we're gonna come back and talk to Chrissy some more. Because we got to get to those damn Santana twins. We got to get into them. So stay on the line. We'll be back in a second right here. This is 90.9 FM KHTC. That's right. Back in the place right here. It is 90.9 FM KHTC Radio Bilingue. Salinas, Santa Cruz, Monterey, 104.1 FM, Hollister, San Juan Bautista, and South Gilroy, and everywhere on the planet at WednesdayRec.com. I'm sitting here still talking to Chrissy I-Eece, and I need to apologize because I jumped the gun on that, and that was actually You Should Know By Now that I played. I thought I was reading ahead. I have Love Desire coming up next, and in my dyslexic rushing, I reversed the two, so I apologize for that.
Because that's fine, because we were just talking about the song anyway, so it's perfect. I didn't mention that on that song also. The background vocals on that song, along with Mark, are George Lamont and India.
So you just had a super all-star team put together. You had Little Louis Vega, you had Albert Cabrera from the Latin Rascals, you had Todd Terry doing a remix.
Yep.
Then you have Mark Anthony writing. Then you have India and George Lamont doing background vocals. I mean, this is like a Super Bowl caliber team right here.
Exactly. And could you believe my own hometown radio didn't want to play it?
Incredible. I mean, did you ever investigate as to some of the why the reluctance to do so?
Politics.
Yeah.
It's all politics.
That is a killer right there in the music industry. Politics. Yep. People just don't realize some of it.
The good thing about it is that's why I was always known as an underground artist, especially in New York, because if it wasn't for the DJs that played my song, that's why I give always all the credit to, because they loved my music, they supported it, and they played it in clubs and mixes and those mixtapes that everyone used to buy, or let's say if they had a 3 o'clock in the morning slot on the radio station, they would be like, well, here's my mixtape is going to go on and my song would be on there. So, but it wouldn't be on regular rotation where, in prime time, where everybody else can hear it along with every other freestyle artist. But, it was good because I was out there performing, so that's how people got to know the song. But it did have a lot of heavy hitters on there, and so and even Todd Terry's house version of it is, and then Albert Cabrera did a Rascal mix that a lot of the DJs, they love that mix because it's easy to mix with other songs.
Right.
Yeah,
definitely good stuff. So interesting how you were mentioning radio in New York itself was reluctant or just passed on you. Was KTU a dance station at that point?
Yep.
And they still wouldn't play it?
No.
Wow. It's amazing. I mean,
they didn't play even Love Desire either.
That's just so mind blowing to me, because that's like, if you had like, Hot 97s happening and Naughty by Nature puts out OPP and they say, well, we're not going to play it, but you're a hip hop station. Why are you going to play it? Oh, we're just not going to play it. It's like, well, you're doing a disservice to the fans of the genre.
Yeah. And I couldn't understand, not even Joey Carvello, who was on Atlantic Records and was the one that signed me. He said when they first released the song and just promotion that we did, because back then, as soon as you released the record, what did you do? You hit all the record shops, right?
Right.
The artists used to go into every record shop, mom and pop places, and sit there and sign autographs, and the people, they would do flyers, right? This is how we promoted.
Yeah.
We would even go to radio stations and do hi, and sit there and have interviews face to face. And so I did my little tour around. I did my promo shows where the first show was for free, and you went out there to promote. You did a whole promotional tour. And so, and the record sold. It recouped. Everybody recouped their money, and everything was doing good. But then when Joey went to the station, he says, I can't get these people to play the record. And he goes, and it's really bad to hold on to you. And, if anything that you put out, they're not going to want to play. And we couldn't understand why. And so he says, I don't want to tie you down on this contract, he says, so I'll give you a release. But, it was hard for us to accept that, they told me. And I was like, it's okay. And that's when I said I have to leave the genre of freestyle if my music is not going to get played. And that's when I went and I transitioned to Latin music.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got to keep it moving, I mean, if something's not working out for you, And the good thing about it is now you can come back and now you can, get your feet back in the pool, so to speak.
Exactly. So that's what I did.
So now let's get into some Love Desire, and then we'll come back and get into everything we need to know about all these memories.
Okay.
All right, now we'll get some Love
good.
Desire. All right, back in the place right here. It is 90.9 FM KHTC Radio Bilingue. And of course, this is Club Rec, yours truly, Kazzeo, and my very, very special guest, Chrissy I-Eece. I got it right. Can you believe it? I got it right.
Yes, you did.
Incredible. I would have never imagined I would finally get the song correct, but I did. Darn it. Oh, man. So, what we got to talk about now? We've been teasing it the entire time. Let's talk about working with the Santana twins. Now, these two guys have been putting in work for a few years now. They've done stuff with Niaja. They've done stuff with George Lamond. They've done stuff with Lizette Melendez. How did they find and connect with you?
Okay, so I went in 2000. I went into a hiatus. I kind of left the music industry for about 15, 16 years. I got married, raised my 2 boys, settled down, and then I battled cancer. In 2014, 2015, I went into remission, all healed, and then I surfaced back. My good friend Ruben Martinez, who was with, he has his own company called Nene Music.
Right.
Yep. So me and him are really good friends. We've been working together for a long time. We connected again because we had done we left a project that right before I left, went into hiatus. We did an EP, and I went under Tina Pena and did something with him. But when I came back, he said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to start recording again. And so since I was away from the industry, I really didn't know who was out there anymore. I wasn't following people on Facebook. I wasn't into any of that. And so he started connecting me with producers, and he was telling me, these are the producers I want you to work with. And so I did a house EDM track. That was the first song I released when I came back out in 2017 called Anymore with Dom Tufaro. And then after that, I did Rumbera, which was on Roger Sanchez's label. And that's more like Afro tribal. But then I had met the Santana twins, and we were already starting to talk. And we got to know each other on the phone. And and they were sending me music, but like the songs they were sending weren't anything that I really wanted to do. Like I said, I'm particular about the sound of music that I work with, and like I don't want it to sound like everybody else's music or have particular sounds of, that other songs have. And so I said, keep sending me music until we find the right one. I said, can you find something that'll have like a feel of the classic disco era, like maybe violins, or just have something that's like the songs from Romeo and Juliet, or Loving Kisses, music from that era.
Right.
I wanted to feel like something epic. And so one day I'm on Facebook, and this is now like going back like in July, August, and you know how they were always playing like their little sneak peeks
Right,
when they work or something. So they played a track, and I was like, what the heck is that? So right away I called them. I was like, hey, what's that song you just did? And they were like, oh no, this song belongs to another artist that they were working on or whatever. And I was like, I love that song. They were like, no, we have your song. And I was like, oh really? It's got to be better than that one. And so they let me hear a demo that was written by them and Susan Santiago, and she sang the demo. And when they let me hear the demo, from the moment I heard it, which was All These Memories, I started crying. Like literally, like the story of the song, the lyrics, and how it moved, like the movement of the song and how it built up to, like the story and whatever. And I just said, oh my God, I love this song. I want to do it. And they were like, okay, so you're in Florida and we're in New York, so do you want us to come to Florida or send you the track and you record it over there? I said, no. I looked at my husband. I said, when can we go to New York? I want to go record. He says, well, book it. So we put a date. They were available, and they said, you got to block 3 days, because the way we work is we do one day the hook, the next day the verses, and the next day would be the ad-lib. So they would like to work individually. They don't want to like get your voice tired or anything. So I was like, okay.
Right.
Well, I get to New York, and I'm so excited. I'm listening to the song over and over and over again, but I'm actually listening to Susan singing it. So what happens? I heard it like over 2,000 times. But then all of a sudden I was singing it like her. When you hear a certain song so many times, you want to sing like the person that's singing it. Well, that's what happened. I get to New York. Not only that, but I get sick. I feel sick because of the fact of weather. It was so cold. It's September, October, and I'm coming from over here, swampy weather, and right away I started feeling like I was getting an upper respiratory like infection, like getting a cold.
Not good.
And so I looked at my husband. I said, this is gotta be terrible. I'm gonna go there and I'm not gonna be able to give my best. And he was like, babe, just try. So I was drinking my NyQuil and Theraflu and all of that stuff, honey. And we get to the studio, and the key was really low. And I was like, this key's kind of too low. Can you raise it? So they were like, oh, yeah, we'll bring it up to how high you want it. Can you bring it to a G? And they were like, I don't think so. You're not going to be able to make a G. I said, don't tell me. I can make a G, right? I can make a C. I can make whatever. And they keep bringing. By the time the song starts vamping, I'm like, oh, my God, I can't get up there because I don't feel good. So they were like, you're going flat. You're going sharp. And Ernesto, especially, not Louis, it was Ernesto.
Right.
He's the one that'll sit there and listen to every key you sing, and he'll tell you, do it again. That key is not. You just went flat, and you won't hear it, but he hears it. Like he's got that perfect pitch ear.
Yeah.
And so, sure enough, we would keep doing it. Then they sent me home so I could listen to it, and I was like, I don't like to do that, because if I listen to myself and I sound horrible, then I get discouraged. So I was like, no, you could keep the track there, and tomorrow I'll come and I'll do whatever I have to do over.
Right.
And so we did that, and that's a couple of times I had to stop everything and face the wall and go through all my vocal exercises in order to warm up the throat and whatnot. And because your vocal box is a muscle, so you can't just go in there and just sing. It's like you're going to go train in the gym, you got to first warm up, right, and stretch. So sure, I did all of those things, and And we worked on it, and every day we did what we had to do. And the last day that it was time to do my ad-libs, I didn't think that any of my ad-libs were great, but I hear what they sound like now, the way they pieced them and where they pieced them. To me, it didn't make sense. Well, they were just telling me, just sing anything. Like, they played the song instrumental, and they were just telling me, just say whatever you want to sing, and I would say like the oohs and the ahs and this and that, blame it all on love and blah 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 blah. And when they finished it, and they had the guy at the beginning, that he's from London, and they asked him to do like that intro, and then they had another guy from Afghanistan, a friend of theirs that plays piano, classical piano, play that intro of the piano. Like, it just they just kept adding and adding to it, that I was like, oh my God, this song is amazing. And it still makes me cry. I could still listen to it. Like, my husband tells me, please put your headphones on because I can't take this anymore. I play it so much.
Well, it's much the same as if like you went and you saw like a rough cut of a movie before it had the music added and everything. It's like, it doesn't make sense, but once you see the finished product, you're like, okay, now I get it.
Yep, and just the way they work, like, I wanted to rush them, like, oh, everyone else is putting out records. I want to meet deadlines. And they were like, Chrissy, don't rush it. And I had to sit back and say, I can't have put the pressure on them to rush the song, because when you start rushing things, then you're gonna miss out on. You gotta wait and finish something until you listen to it, and you say you can't add anything else to it.
Right.
You can't do anything else to it. And then Carlos Berrios mastered it, and he did an amazing job in mastering it as well. And then they did all the different cuts and mixes, and there's still one more mix that has to get done, but that'll go on the CD and the vinyl when we release it, which will be in May. May I'm going to release a CD, and then they'll do vinyls later on, because all the plants right now are not doing any vinyls, and you have to wait like 3 months in advance before you could even do anything. And so, and it was great working with them. You laugh a lot with Louis. I crack up all the time. Sometimes when I want a good laugh, I'll text him. Just saying his name makes me laugh. I'll text him and we'll just have a conversation and just laugh and laugh and laugh.
So it sounds to me like the torture level was pretty much non-existent.
No, I didn't feel tortured by them. I would love to work. I said, we got to work again. We got to definitely do more stuff together, and we will. We'll definitely do it. And I learned a lot from them as well about music and and productions and whatnot.
No question. So the digital single, all these memories, is available now. How can people get it, and how can people follow you on social media?
Okay, so you can, if you go to my website has is the place where you can get me everywhere else. So my website is Chrissy I-Eece.com. Make sure you put the dash after the I. Everything all together except that little dash, right? So ChrissyI-Eece.com. That's where you can download the EP, which is the long epic mix. That's 10 minutes long. Mm-hmm. And then you could also get the EP, which has 6 mixes, including the epic 10-minute long mixes on there, and the radio mix and Synthapella and whatever is on that mix. And then there you can, click either Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and it'll take you directly into my other social medias.
Perfect.
Because I'm all 3 of them. And then in May, I'm going to release it where it'll get distributed through DistroKid to Apple, Amazon, and all the other outlets. Because I know a lot of people are waiting for it to go out on, on iTunes and Google. Right. Because some people, you subscribe and you're a member of it, so then you could download it. You know what I mean? So instead of having to go buy it and then I release it, so I'm going to release it like in the middle of May. It should be on all other platforms.
Perfect. And you even said the magic word, in a few months there's going to be some vinyl, so I love that.
Yeah,
definitely love that.
have to get the vinyl. They'll be releasing the vinyl. The Santana Twins will have the vinyl. Yep.
And they'll be getting some calls from the West Coast, that's for sure.
Yeah.
When that goes around. Well, Chrissy, I really appreciate you taking the time, staying on the line this long. I mean, man, we talked a long time tonight. So I really appreciate your time doing this. And you know, anytime you feel like you got nothing better to do, you're more than welcome to schedule another call, and we can talk some more.
Yeah, and I just want to say thank you to you,
Mm-hmm.
and to all the DJs that support my music, that show me love and support, all the fans, and my friends that I don't call them fans, I call them my friends that follow me on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Thank you for purchasing my new single. It means so much to me, all the feedback I get, and how they love it. And I haven't heard anything negative yet on the song. And because you still, some people like and some people don't like, but up until right now, I haven't heard anything negative. So I just want to just say thank you. I don't want to forget to say thank you. And I'm going to have T-shirts and merchandise on my website. So go on there and sign up to the email, so you'll hear everything first when I'm going to start performing and my little tour. And I'll bring my vinyl to you personally, and I can come to California at the same time and give it to you nice and signed.
Now we're talking. All right. Once again, for all that information, go to ChrissyI-Eece.com. Don't forget to put the dash between the I and the E. And I will follow up with you a little bit later on about that other thing we talked about.
Sure.
And once again, thank you so much for calling in tonight.
Thank you. Have a good night. Stay safe, and many blessings to you and your family.
You too. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.